yet again to another episode. Growing Up Kayfabe, Night of Champions has passed, so we are back. By we I mean me. I am back for some more wrestle talk over what just transpired in Night of Champions, Saudi Arabia. Let's get right into it. We'll skip the hellos. We'll skip the we've been gone. What's been going on? We're just back. It's back. And as always, remind you that this is the Yes and No of Wrestling podcast, the Yeet and No Yeet of Wrestling podcast. I am your host, Joe, and let's talk Night of Champions 2026. So first of all, let's start with the thing that interested me the most to talk about. What is so interesting and what makes me so happy about this is that it's not Jey Uso as King of the Ring. That's just 50 to 60% of the reason right there as to why this makes me so happy, why this is so great. Jey Uso is not King of the Ring. Would I have liked to see Cody versus Jey for the title? Maybe. I don't think it would have been given to Jey. Like the idea and the aesthetic of Jey holding the title whilst also Roman holds the title, so they're both, like leaders of this whatever they're in bloodline. I like the aesthetic of it, but of course what it does to the rest of the wrestling world I do not like or want. I mean, and I think maybe that's something that's the disconnect. Some people are like, oh, that sounds so cool, but they don't see like how much that fucking sucks for everybody else and how long that, in order to make that effective, how long that would have to be a thing. So it feels like, though, with how much TKO, I won't say WWE specifically, but it feels like with how much TKO loves Jey Uso, loves Roman Reigns, and loves the bloodline. I mean, it doesn't seem like they have very much love for Jimmy Uso, but regardless, they seem to love them. So it would seem like that's what, we were being told on the dirt sheets. That's what we were being spoiled on. That's what that's also what just like TV and everything just kind of like was predicting going towards. If we were just reading the very obvious clues on the wall, we can see that Brock and Noble are gonna set up for the third match at SummerSlam. Jay's got nothing else to do. Roman wants him to do this thing. They weren't really setting up much else on the side for Jey except for like him and Jacob battling for some type of supremacy in the bloodline, which I guess would be entertaining. But other than that, it kind of really showed the hand of Brock's gonna come in, he's gonna interfere, cost Oba the match. Jay's gonna become King of the Ring. Because God forbid if it was the other way, which is just Jey beats Brock clean, would have been riots, would have been fucking Saudi themselves would have been fucking pissed off. Not the way it happened. Instead, we got Oba as it should be, cleaning Jey, clean swept him, beating Jey clean. So it does make me curious if that means they switched it. They would, if you ask Paul Levesque or anybody, they're like, no, Nick Khan. They'd be like, no. We, of course, that was the plan the entire time. But reality is plans change. And if they were seeing how much, because I see it nowadays, it does not matter how many people yeet in those fucking arenas. The majority of the rest of the crowd are upset. And also, yeah, like even if you don't like the whole thing, like if you're there in the crowd in the arena, you want to have a good time. So you're gonna yeet probably. Doesn't mean that that's who you want pushed to the moon, people do everybody's shtick all the time. It doesn't mean they get pushed to the moon. So if they were starting to see that the crowd the numbers of the actual crowd compared to the crowd reactions while he's there does not match up, then that would make sense that they'd be like, well, we need to make sure we don't do this whole Jey Uso all the way to SummerSlam thing. We got to change that. Whichever way they ended up wanting to do it, switching it, it was the original plan, whatever. And the reason that makes me feel like it wasn't a switch, that it was a switch, was because of Brock not interfering. Like, why would you not have Brock interfere? I was saying, even after Oba won, I was like, you could still have Brock interfere right now and possibly interject himself into whatever title match that Oba wants to do. Which, if Oba wants to go against Roman, again, I think that Prince money, with all the history between Brock and Roman in the first place, and all Brock has to do before Oba even makes a choice is to just Brock come out and say like, You know, I beat Oba already. I have 5'd him fucking 7 times. I'm the only guy who can beat him. Having anybody else in this match doesn't even make any sense. I should be in this title match and, you know, make some point that, you know, he's still got it. He wants one more title before he leaves, and he wants to show everybody that yet again, like, you know, nobody's better than the Beast, some shit like that, you know. And it can interject him into the title match. Oba, you know, if I could see where they would, the only reason I could see where that would suck is because, like, obviously it's 1-1 Oba Brock. Like, we would want a definitive, and a triple threat does not give that definitive. But that being said, if he's not, it doesn't seem like, because the other route is, from what I'm hearing from people already, or the ideas, is that, oh, okay, Brock's going to interfere at SummerSlam. I'm like, so he's going to wait almost 2 months, and then he's going to interfere? That's so long to be gone. He wasn't even gone that long from WrestleMania. So it's just, I don't know if that's the way. And if he does that, then that would tell me, like, again, with the same thing that we just dealt with then. If the whole build up for the 2 months, or the story behind the story that everybody's talking about, is that Brock's just gonna interfere, well, then why am I interested in this Oba title shot at all? Because he's not gonna win. Brock's going to interfere. So I think either way you cut it, I just think that if you... And at that same time, that would mean that Brock's not going to retire at SummerSlam. He would be interfering at SummerSlam. Therefore, wrestling again at WrestleMania, retiring at Saudi WrestleMania, I guess. You know, like a retirement in the U.S. and a retirement in Saudi, calls it a day. I don't know. But that's the point I'm trying to say, is that's what that kind of leads to. Either way, either one leads to him having to wrestle in WrestleMania. So it's totally possible that they could, you know, have Roman beat both of them off some fuck shit, like, obviously, like, you know, Brock and Oba take themselves out, and Oba just Roman just capitalizes, and therefore, you know, Brock and Oba can argue about why the fuck they lost, and then remind themselves that they're still 1-1, and then boom, WrestleMania, and Brock, you know, Oba can be like, and if I win, then get the fuck out of here. And for a second, I thought that if Gunther wins tonight, then that would easily set up for a Gunther Brock. I thought, you know, like if that Gunther won tonight, and then Oba and Brock did their thing, then that Oba could, like, they could do their thing earlier on, and then somehow they could still get the Gunther, or they could triple threat it with Gunther. That was my other thought. Like, if they interfered after, like, if he hit him after Oba wins King of the Ring, then they could still be like, triple threat with Gunther. You know, they could triple threat it either way, to be honest with you. But I like it. Whichever way we go, I think it's okay. I have a preference, but I think it's okay. So overall, you know, regardless, you know, we're all going to sit here and talk circles around what they did, or what they were supposed to do, or what they ended up doing, the switching, because of what reason. The end all be all is that Oba's King of the Ring. That was the best pick we could have had from what we got. And I think what comes next from that is going to be great. Whether Oba gets a title shot, goes to SummerSlam with Brock, whatever it is, we'll see. So we'll see. After that, Io Sky became Queen of the Ring in the greatest way possible. And I'll give the credit to her to say that it is absolutely because of her, is what I'm saying. She has the credit for all her matches being incredible. Even sold a left knee injury. Very classic King of the Ring shit. Love that. I love when it seems like they're doing that a lot recently. Like during somebody during their finals match or in the tournament will win by selling an injury. Love that. Very old school. But the match starts by Danhausen coming out, to which we're like, okay. I mean, you know, why not? A little break. It never have to have a reason for Danhausen to come out entirely, right? Danhausen comes out, starts doing the what's it? Riyadhausen. That's what he says. Riyadhausen. And he starts trying to chant with them, but Liv Morgan cuts him off super quick. And I'm like, okay, cool, interesting. He does owe the Judgment Day money, so I guess that's why. And she's gonna be like, get out of here. And right as I'm thinking it, and as she's saying it, bad things are gonna happen to you. You better get out of here. I was like, you know what happens when you threaten Danhausen with a bad time? Fucking turn Chris Jericho on her. Liv Morgan, you know what happens when you threaten Danhausen? You know what happens when you tell Danhausen that bad things are gonna happen to him? Oh, you're cursed. Fucking Liv Morgan gets cursed, and the validity stands. Every curse has had its due. Every curse has had its payoff, and this one was no exception. The moment it happened, we're all like, okay, well, Liv Morgan is definitely going to lose this match. And unfortunately, that was the truth. Great match overall. Liv Morgan pulling out some crazy stuff, does some 1 foot leaping off the top rope code breaker, which was awesome. But didn't change. And I thought I'm glad they didn't. I thought something goofy was gonna happen to like make her fall or something was going to trip her up, but it just was a simple like, you're cursed, you lost, and now Io's queen of the ring, and immediately picks Liv, which yeah, that's fine. I wanted Io versus Rhea more. I wanted one of them to turn. I thought it would be better. I think it's time for Rhea to turn, and I thought it would be great if I personally thought it was going to be great is if that pick didn't happen immediately, and then they did the questioning, and then Rhea just made assumptions that Io was going to pick Liv, and then Io be like, I mean, I could pick whoever I want. I don't know why you're assuming I would just pick Liv. Like, that would mean, like, but what if I want to be over here on SmackDown? Like, what if? Like, I guess now when I think of it that way, it's like Io doesn't have much of a reason because she's already on Raw, so she would just stay there with Liv and fight Liv. But you could pick either one, I thought. I digress. It would have been great to see Rhea be like, why the fuck are you picking me? Why are you doing this? This doesn't make any sense. Io be like, because I'm queen of the ring, and I chose you. I thought we could have a friendly match for the title. And then Rhea be like, that pisses me off. I've never beaten you. Like, why? This is crazy. This is insane. And then, everybody be like, Rhea, chill the fuck out. It's okay. And then, go from there. So maybe this is the right way now that I'm saying it out loud. I think it maybe is a little bit better just to go with Liv and Io. I just was really looking forward to Big Mommy Cool taking, turning on the Judgment Day and being the one to go against Liv since Rhea would already have a match with with Io, so therefore, Liv would have to find an opponent, and then they would start this thing with Raquel, which I personally think would be the better way to go, but it is what it is. We'll see what happens. We'll let them cook. Moving on. We have the rest of the night, which started with Trick, Ricky Saints. Trick was more than obviously going to retain. One of the most over acts right next to Oba. And the build yesterday, the cheap shot by Ricky, and his mic skills obviously always been great, but just like then once you take him to like the main roster brand, even better, getting better. It's a really good little refresh and help for like the America crowd when these stars who are in fact big on NXT that get the switch over go to the European crowds, and then they like get get big pops and they get crowd reactions, and then I think it helps the rest of the America crowd who's not paying attention be like, oh, okay, there's something about this guy or this girl. So anyway, Ricky and Trick, great back and forth. The match itself was a more interesting than I think some of the other ones in the night, just off of from a pure wrestling standpoint, and I really liked everything that they both did, and I end up sounding like The Undertaker a lot, but I really do appreciate a story being told in the match, and I felt that from them, leading all the way up to the last trick shot, which was awesome. I did forget that what actually started the night was Bron Breakker, Seth Rollins. Something that should have been a sign from what I love is just like the matching of the energy. Seth comes down to the cage and immediately starts taking out kendo sticks, taking out chairs, taking out tables. He's putting it all in the cage before. He's like, all right, we're going to get this bitch loaded up before we even start. And then Bron comes down and he's like, oh yeah? Think you fucking better than me? You think I didn't think of that too? It does it too. And I'm like, I love it. Because that's so Bron Breakker. Bron Breakker is just like, oh yeah? Fucking, okay. You think I won't though? And you think I won't? I will. Whatever you did, he's like, I can do that too. You think I won't do it? I'm doing it right now. Another story that was really well told. Finally, an actual story that was told in their match. Beyond Seth wants to get the vision put behind him, which was part of the story for sure. But it's like what the whole culmination of those matches were. But this time, it came to them sitting in the middle of the cage. Seth tells him, we're going to find out what you're made of. This is it. This is your chance to figure it out for yourself, what you can do, which is kind of like the whole reason they started it. Because he thinks that Bron can be the next big thing and will be the next big thing. But this is it right here, your moment. It's me, you, Seth freaking Rollins, in a steel cage match, Night of Champions, Saudi Arabia. How are you going to perform? Because that's what, like, you know, if you look deeper, that's what the story is really telling you. It's not about, like, are you going to win or lose? That is in there, but it's really that. So then they go back and forth, and then it starts to gain their respect. Bron, every time he fights anybody, he calls them old because they are all older than him, mostly. And he loves to make fun of all of them for it, whilst making fun of their sticks. That many times throughout the match, that's a thing that Bron's obviously going to use. But then towards the end, it starts to become, you know, you're a crazy old man. You know that? You're a crazy old son of a bitch. And Bron being completely taken back and shocked that Seth is going this long, that Seth keeps kicking out, that how much more do I have to take, to the point where Bron, first time in a long time, I think, had a great emotion sell on his face when he finally put Seth through the table, when he finally did all this shit, and he pins him, and he doesn't get the 3 count, and he looks terrified, because it's coming back to those words he just said, and now he doesn't say these words, but with him saying, you're a crazy old man, and he's telling him, like, why don't you stay down, and then the big kick out, and Bronze has this terrified look in his face, and sad look in his face, because he realizes, I don't think there's anything else much I can do that would stop this match. And that's right before he decides to try to crawl. And I think that was great. That was like, it's like a tell in his face. You can see that emotion in his face, so you're like, that man's about to crawl towards the door. And he does. And him and Seth have a moment with it at the door where Seth does the same thing and reminds him, this is what it's supposed to be for. Find out what you're made of, Breakker. And Breakker gets a mean cut on the side of his eye. Perfect eye cut from UFC perspective, and also probably WWE, because it's not above the eye, so it's not dripping into his eye. It's right here, so it's just forming down here, and it gives him the coolest red circle, like just a pitch matte red right here, just Two-Face at that point. And it was really cool aesthetic for what was going on. And the match ends with an avalanche, a stomp with, of course, with a pedigree to that. And what a fucking match. I take that back. That match was match of the night comparatively to Trick Williams that I said earlier. That match is absolutely match of the night. Shouts out to both of them. And I think that's the way that you do it. Seth now looks super strong in a win where he doesn't have to worry about the vision anymore, and he can focus on the next thing that he wants to do, which I'm assuming will be something else that's going to build towards Roman, whatever that is. Then, for Bron, he loses the match. He's still with the vision, if that's what they're going to do. And if he's not, either way, he's still strong as shit. He's still shown strong as shit. And he also kicked out of a bunch of stuff before that avalanche stomp. So, yeah. Great way to sell both of them. Great way. That was how you do a cage match. Beautiful. You have the Jade Cargill versus Tiffany Stratton. All I'm going to say about that is that it was well done. I'll shout out Darnell, who did point out that they hit their spots perfectly, and it was flowing well for once, which I told them I credit to that. They have wrestled a ton on dark shows, PLEs, SmackDowns. Tiffany and Jade have wrestled probably more than anybody else, or any of the other women wrestled with Jade before. So I would hope so, and it makes sense that finally, their matches are starting to flow like that. A lot of interference going around. The Chelsea-Tiffany alliance is coming to. I don't know if that's an actual alliance that's going to come up that's going to be going towards the tag titles at some point, or if that's just Chelsea's way to get closer back to the U.S. title so she can compete for it and just turn on Tiffy. Either way would work for me. But Tiffany wins. I could have sworn Jade was going to win that. But the only reason that I thought that Tiffany would have won is if somehow, some way, Charlotte was going to cost Jade. That's exactly what happened. So now we're going to build to Jade. Jade Charlotte, probably SummerSlam, right? Just like a singles match between them, if I had to guess. No gold on the line, if I had to guess. So we'll see. That'll be interesting. That'll be fun. So that leads me into the main event, and I'm just going to say that I'm loving the way that these are all coming to a head. The build for all of these to set up what's next is there. I can see it. And it's not like, oh, it's too much. It's like, there are some options here, and I think I like all of them. Maybe some more than others, but it's not empty after this. I'm not left with like a what the fuck. And I will say I had to sit on that, because at first I was like, what's Rhea gonna do? But I'm like, there is stuff out there. And like I had said, I'm sure there's something that they'll figure out with her on SmackDown, because now they just had a bunch of talent. Again, just from SmackDown, from Julia beating Kiana, right? Kiana James. From Julia winning that, she could, randomly start being like, I should be the one getting that. I'm sure they'll do some tournament or something that that says what the next woman that's going to face Rhea. And I also know that Rhea is still injured. I think, if I believe so. So, we'll have to see where that goes and when she's done, because obviously they were not going to take her off, take the belt off of her. They were like, we just got the shit. We're not doing this again. Because how many times has that women's belt, all of the women's belts, been fucking vacated due to injury or someone being pregnant? So as annoying that it has been, that I don't think anybody's made a point at all that Rhea's just been off TV. I think it's because we all know why. But still, I'm like, I don't know. It kind of sucks. Like, it's been a few months now, and nothing about the women's WWE title, and it's because Rhea's hurt. But it is what it is. It'll all come together. That brings us to the biggest news of the night. The biggest news in wrestling, and the biggest main event to happen so far. The last part's exaggeration. But it is the biggest news in wrestling, which is that Sami Zayn has in fact done it. Sami Zayn is now, and will have on his record, been and is a WWE champion. The WWE champion, to be precise. Finally gets the win in Saudi. I agree, me and Darnell had the same thought process, which is that if it was going to happen, it was going to be Saudi. And this is where long-term everything comes into play, because the last time Sami was up for the WWE title in Saudi, it seemed picture perfect, correct? It's the Royal Rumble. It's in Saudi. It's against Drew McIntyre for the WWE title. It's Sami leading up to that. The story was set perfectly for him to win. They had mentioned and beat over your head with multiple hammers about how Sami has not won titles. How Sami has had, at that point, 8 tries to beat the title. How Sami has never beat Drew McIntyre. Like, they literally stacked the odds entirely in a way that everybody was like, Sami's winning. Sami's finally going to get that title. It's happening. This is it. And then he fucking didn't. And that was one of the craziest things I had ever seen, because everybody could have sworn that was booked picture perfect for Sami, but it's just not the way it went. So when that happens, now that's attempt number 9. He loses attempt. Now here's attempt number 10, and the same shit happens. They stack the odds, They give the credit to Sami for beating Gunther, but that's about it. They constantly mention he's the odd one out. Thank God there was no mentions of underdog. There was just mentions of the title always eluding him, which that's fine. It always has. But they mention these things about this is attempt number 10. This is Gunther's this, Cody's this, Cody's he hasn't beat Cody, and there it goes. He does it. I know, shouts out Jacob. I know he said he didn't, maybe there's other people as well that were upset about it being a roll-up pin. Again, this goes back to the selling the leg injury during a King of the Ring match or a Queen of the Ring match. It's old school. I fucks with it. And sometimes it's what you need. Like, realistically, I'm not going to lie to you. There was so much happening at that point in the match. It was the high point of the match. And if I had to wait for them to set up for some giant, like, 2-person at one haluva kick, or Sami running around the entire ring to charge up some haluva kick or something, it would have taken me out and I would have been upset about it. And think about it, so would you have. At that point, they had already done the haluva kicks. They had already done the power bombs. Cody had already fucking hit everybody and their fucking mother with with the crossroads. He hit both of them at the same time at the crossroads, which I'm not going to lie was kind of mean. I liked that. That was kind of cool. But either way, all the crossroads were hit. Man, settle that shit with a roll-up pin. That's all I needed right there. Cut the air out. Psh, done. And the air is only cut for a second because it's Riyadh and it's Sami Zayn, and he just won the WWE title for the first time. So I do hope that Kevin Owens was somewhere just crying his eyes out, and I hope that I am hoping that tomorrow at NXT Great American Bash that's like Kevin, because he's there for the tailgate, and I hope that he's going to take a moment to let me just take a moment to congratulate my friend, the last real good guy, Sami Zayn. That would be the only way, right? Because endorsing him over Cody would be so perfect. It would be the way to go. Kevin went out a heel, even though he went out and said, like, hey, I have a neck injury, I have to leave, and, did the sad part. But he was a heel prior to that, and he was on that fuck Cody business and fuck Randy business. So, and Sami did say on Friday, he pulled the whole keep Kevin Owens' name out of your damn mouth. So I don't know. I don't know what I really want from that ultimately. Clearly, I just want Kevin Owens to just be happy about that, and I want to see the reaction, because that must have been great to see for Kevin Owens. And that's it. Night of Champions goes off air with Sami Zayn celebrating his first ever WWE Championship, and we are all left to wonder what will be next. Well, literally fucking anything. And that brings me to my end point, which is that is the last reason why I am okay with Sami winning this title. It is very well documented on this podcast. Me and Darnell both are on that fuck Sami Zayn business. He ruins factions. He ruins storylines. He ends cool championship streaks. It's fucking annoying. They use him for the Canadian rowdy double use hype, which is why he'll never get fired, by the way. Like, that's a silly move for them. Like, they might restructure contract, pay cut, sure. They will not fire that guy. That would be a bad business move. But regardless, what this does is it sets up for more exciting things, which is exactly what everybody has been asking for. Every time Cody gets a title shot against somebody, the first thing everybody says is it's going to be more exciting if he loses. And I have to admit, as a Cody fan, that's true. Because they said this, I think it was before 40, like after 39 when he first lost to Roman. And Cody's more interesting on the chase. Cody's more interesting chasing titles and chasing the big win. It's just how it is. I think about that post 39 to 40, and it wasn't about getting. Nobody was certain that was going to happen. Nobody. Literally just riding a wave of hope with Cody at that point. That's all I could do. That has shown when he's lost it. When he lost it to Cena, even though there was just a lot of weird stuff going on to the build to the SummerSlam with him, it was a more entertaining Cody. And when he lost it to Drew, it was a more entertaining Cody. It almost feels like he has no shackles. It almost feels like he can do more. It almost feels like there's less pressure. Whatever it is, it's a more interesting Cody. And they in the office and creative know that and have acknowledged it. It's documented on camera. So, you want to shake things up on the show that Cody's on? Take the title off of him. He's what, 39 or 40? He's gonna be here until he's 43 or 44. He said. Just keep taking the title off of him. How do you think Ric Flair became 16? How do you think fucking John Cena became 17-time champion? Because he just took the title off him. Sometimes you just gotta shake things up. Why was Roman champion for so fucking long? Because it just made the most sense to not do. It made the most sense to not take the title off of him. Why was Hulk Hogan and fucking Bob Backlund and them title holders for so long? Because it just made the most sense. And when it stopped making sense, they didn't do it because they were like, oh, well, he already set the record for blah, blah, blah. It just stopped making sense. And that's what happens with Cody very often. And I think that's the part that people have to fucking realize. It just stopped making sense. Sometimes it just stops. The bloodline stopped making sense. We were like, what are we even doing anymore? Like, what's going on? And when that part happens, what are we doing? What's going on? We should change something immediately, and that doesn't happen always. So I'm excited for the shakeup because Sami can go against Gunther and Cody again. He can go against just Cody. He can go against somebody. He could look at Gunther and Cody and be like, nah, I want this person, and then some other wrestler comes out that like Johnny Gargano. If fucking him and Johnny Gargano fucking go at it just for like I'm giving you a title shot because you deserve it because you're a good guy. That would be fucking hilarious. And put Johnny Gargano in a fucking literally main title picture out of nowhere. Think about that. That would be cool. Shake it the fuck up. I've been on that kick since Darby Allin won the AEW title, and Darnell pointed out very honestly that yes, shaking Darby Allin isn't necessarily a big shakeup, but it is. At the same time, it is. Just because Darby Allin deserves it and people love Darby Allin doesn't necessarily mean that it wouldn't be a shakeup if we give it. It's some guy that you don't normally see the AEW title on nowadays. Maybe when the fucking AEW first started, but not regularly. So same thing with WWE. If tomorrow there's a line, if tomorrow you put the title on Danhausen, I'd be like, what are we doing? What's going on? What are we doing? But if tomorrow you put the title on Finn Balor, I'd be like, interesting, because Cody and him have history, and then Sami could be a part, and I would love to see the matches of, you see what I'm saying? Like that would happen. And that's just a random example. So I'm happy at the shakeup. I can't wait to see what they do with it. Hopefully something exciting. Cody on the chase is always going to be exciting. Gunther running around pissed off is going to be great, and Sami's going to be like, well, that's a real good guy. No, he's going to do that. He's going to do the thing where he comes in not realizing everybody's super fucking pissed off at him, and he's going to play the martyr, and it's going to be great. So, that being said, that brings us to the end of this episode. So happy to be back. Tomorrow from this day is NXT Great America Bash and AEW Forbidden Door. I'd like to talk about that in this next upcoming week, so hopefully we get to that. Maybe 2 episodes, so 2-parter. We'll see. All right, guys. Click the like button. Comment down below what you think about Night of Champions, what you think about Forbidden Door, what you think about Great American Bash, what you think about the wrestling products going on in general. Share this out to a wrestling friend or family member in your life. And please, tune in next time. We'll see you guys. Bye.